The surveillance video is giving us a closer look tonight at what led up to a tragic crash over the weekend that left 2 men dead. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
I'm Marcella Lee, in for Barbara Lee Edwards. This happened on Friday night at the intersection of Mission and Ash in Escondido. Police say a 13-year-old girl from Vista was behind the wheel with her friend, also a minor, in the passenger seat.
The pair sped away from police during a traffic stop and crashed into 2 men who were sleeping in some bushes. News 8's Shannon Handy has more on the crash and the possible punishment for that teen driver.
Carlo and Marcella, debris from that crash is still left over. In fact, someone also left a flower here. Now, the home where that camera is located is right on the corner here. The owner tells me he has seen a lot of accidents in this intersection, but nothing like this. Disturbing video captured by a neighbor's security camera Friday night shows the moment a 13-year-old Vista girl fleeing from police crashed, killing 2 homeless men who were sleeping in some bushes.
It's a tragedy all around.
Jonathan Jensen shared the video with News 8, saying he and his wife were getting into bed when it happened. It was around 11:20 at the intersection of Mission and Ash in Escondido. The impact so loud he ran outside to see if he could help.
Saw the smoke coming from the car, so I hurried up and got dressed and ran out to see if I could offer assistance, but the police were already there.
Police say the 13-year-old driver took the car without her mom's knowledge. Her juvenile friend was in the passenger seat. An officer pulled them over for a traffic violation, not knowing those circumstances. When he approached on foot, they took off, starting a pursuit. Minutes later, while trying to turn onto Ash, a driver lost control. One of the men was pronounced dead on scene. The other died at a nearby hospital. As for the teens, they were arrested and released to their parents. Attorney Gene Iredell says while possible, it's unlikely the driver will be charged as an adult.
Can be a motion made by the district attorney's office to treat her as an adult. However, in this case, it doesn't appear that those predicate felonies would necessarily be applicable because this was not a murder. It was arguably, at worst, a vehicular homicide.
Meanwhile, her parents could also face consequences, but not in criminal court.
Assuming that the girl stole the car without their knowledge, are not criminally liable for anything. There may be some civil liability on the part of the parents.
As for her demeanor, Jensen says the teen appeared to be in shock while being put into the back of a patrol car.
It's sad that she's going to have to carry that.
The medical examiner's office is still trying to identify those 2 men. Meanwhile, we are still awaiting details on a possible court date for the teen driver.
A judge who dismissed a restraining order against the man later charged with killing a teacher at Cathedral Catholic now faces serious questions about his own past.
As News 8's Steve Price reports, women say Daniel Belsky has a history of not supporting them when they come to him to ask for help.
When Judge Daniel Belsky dismissed a request for restraining order against Jesse Alvarez last year, it didn't attract much attention. Then Mario Fierro was shot and killed, leading to serious concerns about Judge Belsky's decision, his background, and his assignment to family court.
Not guilty, deny all allegations.
Jesse Alvarez dated a teacher at Cathedral Catholic for 3.5 years. It didn't end well. In a request for a restraining order, the teacher said, "I am scared and fear for my safety." She said Alvarez tried to break into her home, followed her, and wouldn't stop calling. Alvarez made excuses for his actions and called many of the allegations false. Judge Belsky ruled the case a tie and dismissed the restraining order.
I don't know what a tie is. You don't break a tie. You protect people.
Mary Deutsch worked at Daniel Belsky's law firm before he became a judge and was stunned to hear that he's been assigned to family court.
You need someone who's compassionate to hear those cases.
And that's not Dan Belsky.
No.
Deutsch says while working at Belsky's firm in the 90s, she went to him after another partner at the firm groped her. She says Belsky basically told her it was no big deal.
No, Dan just seemed to look the other way.
Mary joined a lawsuit with multiple women at the firm where she quickly learned she wasn't alone. The complaint called it a law firm out of control, adding they prey upon female employees. Jurors voted 9-3 that Belsky's law firm subjected Mary to a hostile work environment, but that was only part of the lawsuit. The women also sued because they say the firm knowingly overcharged clients, a violation of ethics that made it impossible for them to continue working there. Jurors ruled 11-1 in the women's favor.
Dan Belsky had to know about it because he was one of two principals in the firm.
To be clear, Daniel Belsky was never personally accused of sexual harassment. The frustration is that he knew what was going on and did nothing to protect the women. We were hoping to speak with him about this, but Judge Belsky declined our request for an interview. We also were hoping to talk with the presiding judge because she's the one who assigns judges to their courtrooms. A spokesperson sent us this response.
The court respectfully will decline to provide any interviews or statements on this matter. And that brings us back to Alvarez, who is now charged with murder, accused of killing Mario Fierro, his ex-girlfriend's new fiance. Prosecutors say Alvarez hid outside Fierro's North Park home for an hour, just waiting for the opportunity to execute him. At Alvarez's arraignment last week, the prosecutor read a statement from his ex-girlfriend, blasting Judge Belsky for dismissing her restraining order.
I stand before you, a victim of the court, when I sought it to protect me in January of 2020.
It's impossible to say that Mario Fierro would be alive today if Judge Belsky extended that restraining order against Jesse Alvarez. But what Mary does know is that Judge Belsky's past should have been considered before he was assigned to family court.
He's kind of oblivious. And he kind of leaves a wake of destruction behind him.
Judge Belsky just ran for re-election last year, and since no one opposed him, he was automatically declared the winner. His term is 6 years. Mary hopes at the very least he will be transferred out of family court.
I would be pleased if the powers that be could look at a situation and say, with complete objectivity, this person is really not suited for this role.
At the downtown courthouse, Steve Price, News 8.
Former San Diego Chargers Pro Bowl wide receiver Vincent Jackson was found dead today inside a Florida hotel room. Sheriff's officials in Tampa say the 38-year-old had checked into the hotel near Tampa on January 11th and was reported missing last week. But deputies located and spoke with Jackson on Friday, and they canceled that report. There were no apparent signs of trauma, and the coroner will have to determine the cause of death. Later in sports, Kyle Kraska has a look back at Jackson's time in San Diego.
We are monitoring breaking news out of Jamul, where a SWAT team is in a standoff with a shooting suspect. This afternoon, the SWAT team arrived on the scene in the 15,700 block of Lyons Valley Road. Let's show you right now some live video from near where this is taking place. This is near the Indian Hills camp, and again, this is live picture from the scene. Sheriff's deputies are investigating the incident that left one gunshot victim in the hospital. So far, the suspect inside has not been responding to communication attempts by the SWAT team. People living nearby are asked to avoid this area, and we will have more information on this as it becomes available.
A major winter storm system is affecting more than 2/3 of people across the U.S. tonight with snow and ice.
Some areas are also seeing the coldest temperatures in more than a decade. As Elise Preston reports, the storm is even affecting the distribution of the COVID vaccine.
The entire state of Texas is under a state of emergency as a wicked storm dumps snow and ice over the deep south. It's so cold in Texas, rolling power outages left more than 2 million customers without electricity for short periods. One outage threatened to destroy thousands of doses of the coronavirus vaccine.
We had 8,430 Moderna vaccines, and we quickly put together a plan to allocate and to salvage them.
The vaccines are being redistributed to at least 5 locations in the Houston area. The massive system left Seattle with the most snow it's seen in almost 40 years and is making driving dangerous in areas where people are not used to snow and ice. This man scrambled to safety seconds before a vehicle slammed into a patrol car in Schulenburg, Texas. Conditions are also lousy in parts of Arkansas, Missouri, and Kentucky.
We're advising you to limit travel as much as possible.
Across the country, airlines canceled or delayed nearly 6,100 flights. It's not just the snow and ice that's making it miserable for people across large sections of the country. It's also the bitter cold. The thermometer dropped to minus 38 degrees in Hibbing, Minnesota this morning. It was 26 below in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and minus 19 in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Forecasters say as this system moves out, 2 more are right behind it. The Midwest could see another foot of snow Tuesday into Wednesday. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
At least 1 million people in Texas are currently without electricity, and they could be in the dark for a few days.
And taking a closer look at that system that we are referring to, I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis. We're seeing some scattered showers, even the potential for some tornadic activity all ahead of that front. And then you also see a lot of snow that's moving in with this storm system, stretching all the way from portions of Ohio, also seeing that moving towards the northeast. So this is the storm system that we're referring to that is moving through in the cold air that's right behind it with a dip in the jet stream, a big one. And so we're still talking about some very cold temperatures as well as with that storm system. Winter storm warnings extending with that pink all the way from Houston towards New York. That is going to be the case. Additionally, seeing about a foot of snow, portions of the Midwest. Also starting to see a little bit of relief over portions of Texas, where the entire state is no longer under a winter storm warning, still dealing with the effects of the recent snow, but still could potentially see an additional 6 to 10 inches of snowfall into tomorrow. We'll go ahead and take a look at our forecast coming up. Carlo.
Thanks, Carlene. A search for Maya Millette continued by helicopter in Imperial County today. The missing Chula Vista mother's family and volunteers spent the weekend handing out flyers and searching in Glamis with a drone. Millette's family says they are trying to cover as much of the area as possible, but it's overwhelming. Millette's family took a trip to Glamis over the New Year's weekend. That was just days before she went missing. She was last seen at her home on January 7th.
New COVID cases remain under 1,000 for a 4th straight day here in San Diego County. County health officials reported 693 new cases, but additional data was not released due to today being a holiday. Remaining ICU capacity dropped to 18%. Overall, hospitalizations continued to trend downward. No new deaths were reported, which is typical for a Monday, keeping the county death toll at 3,037.